All right, so again, we're going to start right at the top of page 6 in your review packet where it says module 1, review number 2. And at this point, actually, all of these questions should just be concepts we've already gone through the previous 2 days. So just want to make sure you've got one more opportunity to ask questions on those, and then tomorrow you'll do your test. Again, I don't want any surprises. So right on your Google Doc here, all of these bullet points, those are the exact questions that you'll see tomorrow and that you want to make sure that you're really prepared to do. So the 3 variable system, you can absolutely do your matrix still to check yourself, but you definitely want to be able to support your work algebraically as well. Okay, everyone has these in front of them? Perfect. So we are going to start right at number 1 there. All right, so number 1, it says to solve this quadratic equation and express your answer in simplest radical form. All right. So anytime you see this little phrase up here, simplest radical form, do you think this is going to factor? If you ever practice radicals? No. So this is a great indication that you're going to make use of your quadratic formula instead. So this indicates use your quadratic formula. All right, so you do not need to memorize that. I'll put that up on the board for you tomorrow. So quadratic formula, you have x equal to, we've got negative b plus and minus square root of b squared minus 4ac all over the 2a. And again, we talked about these concepts already this week, but just today is some extra reinforcement for you. So you're going to start and you're going to plug in. So I'm going to go x equal to, and I want to go negative 3 plus and minus, and we have square root of, I'm going to go parentheses 3 squared minus 4 times 2 times 2. And then all over 2 times a, which in this case is just lots of partial credit too if there's any mistakes that get made in the way here. So in your calculator, you're going to type in everything underneath your square root without actually including the square root. And I've got x equal to a negative 3 plus and minus the square root of negative 7 and then over 4. So you saw this come up again yesterday. What's going to happen here because I have a negative underneath the square root? An I. Good. So this is going to be a quadratic with imaginary roots. So it's going to have the I. What you want to check for on your calculator right now is can you hit mode? Hit the mode key, and approximately halfway down the screen, there's going to be a line that says real a plus bi, and then ignore the third one. You want to highlight a plus bi on your calculator so that it will do these for you if you ask it to. So you want your calculator in a plus bi mode. Or a plus bi mode. And you can leave it like that. It's not going to interfere with anything else that you do. And then to make sure that you've got it set, go ahead right now and do the square root of negative 1. And you'll see that that gives you the I. So this is going to become x equal to negative 3 plus and minus. Again, the negative just becomes the I. And 7 is a value we can't simplify, so you're just going to leave it. And then over 4. Okay, so I right here was equivalent to the square root of negative 1. Okay, and that's where you're going to leave your answer. So nothing further there. Again, that is a quadratic that has imaginary roots. Any calculator issues? Okay. So next question, again, you saw one just like this yesterday. Determine whether or not x minus 5 is a factor. And we discussed 2 ways that you could go about doing this. We did long division and we did synthetic. Would this one work for synthetic? Yes, it's just x minus 5. It doesn't have a coefficient in front of the x and it doesn't have a square. So if I were you, I would favor the synthetic approach with this instead, just because it's easier to do and there's less probability of making a mistake. So you're going to take that -5 and you're going to switch your sign. So whenever you have a factor, excuse me, you're going to switch your sign. So I'm going to do +5 divides into, and I'm going to go 2, -4, -7, and -10 because all my terms are accounted for. You don't need any placeholders. First number comes straight down. So here's 2. 2 times 5 gives me a 10. Add straight down, I get 6. 6 times 5 is the 30. And then 30 minus 7 gives me 23. This is getting large. So 5 times 23 is 115. And 115 minus 10 would give me 105 as my remainder. All right, now you have to draw your conclusion. So does this one work? No, not a factor. So you're going to summarize questions. So you're going to summarize this and you're going to say no, x minus 5 is not a factor. And you can say because it has a remainder or because your remainder is not 0. So I'm going to say remainder not equal to 0. As long as you have some sort of explanation there that makes sense, then that's sufficient. Okay, how's number 2? Should be a nice, easy question for you. Number 3 is a review of solve by factoring. So these you're going to factor and then you're going to t-chart to finish. So number 3 is going to be what method of factoring to start. Careful. It's not AC yet. What has to always come first? ACF. Yep. Careful with that one. It's probably going to be AC after this stuff. So you're going to take out your x, and what remains is a 6x squared, and then minus a 13x, and minus a 5. And now you do have to apply your AC method here. So now you're going to do AC. I am going to just do this. This x we have to put back in a minute, but sometimes it's cumbersome to keep writing it, so I'm going to ignore it. We're going to do here 6 times -5, which is equal to -30. I need to find a set of numbers that multiplies to -30 and adds to -13. How about -15 and +2? Then you're going to place those right back inside. So I would have a 6x squared minus the 15x. Remember, you could put the 2 first too. It doesn't make a difference. Plus the 2x and minus the 5. You're going to go right down the middle of this and do your factor by grouping. So the left-hand side, those are both divisible by 3 and x. I'm left with 2x minus 5. The other side, remember you have to take something out. And the only thing these are both going to share is just that 1. And then 2x minus 5. Okay, you're getting closer. So I'm going to come on up here. I do need to put that x back in. And then I have the factor of 3x plus 1 and the 2x minus 5. So you're ready to do your t-chart portion now. So you're going to go right down the middle of this and you're going to get all 3 answers. So I have x equals 0 is my first answer, which is called a root or a 0. The next one is going to be 3x plus 1 equals 0. So -1 minus 1. So I have 3x equal to -1. Divide by 3, and you do have to leave this as a fraction. So this one is x equal to negative 1/3. So that's my next answer. So I have this one. I have this one. And to conclude, I'm going to go 2x minus 5 equals 0. Add your 5 over. And then divide by 2. So you're adding your 5. I get 2x equal to 5. And then divide by 2, and I get 5 halves to finish. So divide by 2. So third and final answer is x equals 5 halves. Okay. How do we feel with one like that? So AC method and then all the way down to solve. So 3 answers. How about letter B? What method is this one going to be? Grouping, very good. So this one's grouping, which is just that middle portion of your AC method that you utilized above. So I just go right down the middle. I'm not even going to rewrite it. Left-hand side, you're going to take out y squared. I'm left with y minus 2. And then remember, when your third term is negative, you want to pull the negative with it. I'm going to go minus 16. And then y minus 2. Place them back together, and I'm left with y squared minus 16 and y minus 2. However, you're not done with your factoring yet. Anyone see anything? That's good. So next step is to apply your difference of 2 squares to break this down one step further. So I have a y plus a 4, a y minus a 4, and a y minus 2. And because these all say solve, that's when you continue and T-chart this. And then you get your 3 answers, and then you're good to go. So I would have y plus 4 equal to 0, y minus 4 equal to 0, y minus 2 equal to 0. Or again, you can just simply flip your signs if you're confident with that. Minus the 4, so I would have y equal to negative 4 as your first answer. Next one, I would add the 4 and get positive 4. And the third, I would get y equal to 2. Okay, so another example with 3 different answers. And again, those are called roots or zeros. How do we feel on page 1? Pretty confident? Okay, over to the next. This method of factoring here, these are the type that really tends to bother you guys in general. This is a trinomial with a degree 4 instead. It's not AC or anything complicated. All you do is take this b to the 4th power and split it into b squared. So I'm going to go b squared and b squared. Okay. Now I'm going to find 2 numbers that multiply to be 25. And they need to add to be negative 24. You may ignore that b squared if it's helpful for you. So multiply to negative 25 adds to negative 24 would be negative 25 and good, positive 1. So just like that. So now we're going to continue and keep going. So the left-hand side is now going to be difference of 2 squares. So I would do b plus 5 and b minus 5. But does the other side go further? Nope, because it's addition. When you go to solve this, this was a degree 4 polynomial. That means that you should have 4 answers when you're done. So we're going to have 4 roots. It's really helpful to look for, indicators like that, because then you kind of know if you have enough answers when you're done. These 2 are very straightforward. It's this last one that tends to get forgotten. So flip your sign and you get negative 5. And then flip this sign and you get 5. And this is the one that, again, is easy to confuse. So you're going to go b squared plus 1 equals 0. And you're going to solve this. So b squared is equal to negative 1 if I subtract it over. And then how do we undo b squared? square root, but what has to go around it? Plus and minus. You have two answers and you need this to give you the remaining two. So plus and minus the square root of -1, which you may type in your calculator right now if you'd like. And what is the square root of -1? I. Yep, plus and minus I are the last two answers. Okay. So your four solutions, just to summarize this up here, are -5, +5, positive I, and -I. So there are your four roots. You have two real, two imaginary. Okay. How's letter C? We're feeling okay? All right, so number 4. Given this function, factor and find all of the zeros. I'm going to add something to this too, because again, I just want to reinforce as much as possible. What's the degree of this polynomial? 5. Good. Right off the leading term. The degree of this polynomial is just the 5. If you had to graph it, you would just place it right in the calculator and grab whatever values you can from your table. So factor. So we are going to GCF a -3x cubed out. And then you're going to continue. So I am left here with x squared. And then I'm going to go minus x and -6. Your -3x cubed does need to get rewritten. It doesn't drop off. And now you're going to take what's in your parentheses and continue further. So now you're going to apply your trinomial method. So multiplies here to -6, adds to -1 is going to be x minus 3 and x plus 2. So I'm going to go right down the middle and find all of these. Because this was a degree 5 polynomial, it means that we are going to have 5 roots or zeros. So essentially 5 answers. But remember, some of them might occur more than once. I'm going to start with the easy two. This one, flip your sign, x equals -2. And it only occurs just once. So I have one answer. Over here is x equals 3. And that only occurs once. So how many answers am I missing? 3 of them. Yep. And that's where this comes in right here. So I take -3x equal to 0. I'm going to ignore the exponent for a moment. Divide by -3, divide by -3. So I have x equals 0, but how many times does it occur? Exactly. Yep, so there are all your answers. So your zeros would occur at 0, 3, and -2. So you have zeros at 0, 3, and -2. Okay. How do we feel with that one, okay? And again, I do want you to do a graph on that tomorrow as well. And for the graph, you're just going to place it in your calculator. You do not have to do it by hand. Number 5, a quick synthetic division question. So I'm going to take that -2, flip my sign, and we do 2 divides into. But what does this one require? Placeholders. Yep, good. I have 2. Degree 4 is missing. Degree 3 we have. Degree 2 is missing. We have the degree 1. And you have the constant. Bless you. All right, so my first number comes right down. And I'm going to go 2 times 2, so that's 4. Addition gives me 4. 4 times 2 is 8. Add straight down, I get 0. I'm going to do 0 times 2 is 0. Add straight down, I get 0. 0 times 2 is another 0. Add straight down, you get 10. And your last step gives you positive 20, which gives me a remainder of nothing. So if this question had asked whether or not this was a factor, you could have said yes. So translate your answer. This is your constant. This would be x. This would be x squared. This would be x cubed. And this would be x to the 4th power. It's up to you if you want to put those zeros in there or skip them. So I'll give you 2 possible ways to write this. You could go 2x to the 4th plus 4x cubed, skip, plus 10. Or if you'd really like to, you can put those in. And you could go 2x to the 4th plus 4x cubed plus 0x squared plus 0x plus 10. Makes no difference to me, whatever you're comfortable with. Okay. All right, last couple here. And again, make sure if I'm not answering your questions that you ask, I want you to be confident and well prepared. So 6. This is back to what we started your first day of review. So what do you need for subtraction? Good. Common denominator. How do we get it? We're going to factor that denominator first. That one's all set. I'm going to do this just because, again, sometimes it's helpful. And then y squared minus 9 becomes y minus 3 and y plus 3. So to do the common denominator, I use one of each factor. So my common denominator is going to be a y minus 3 and a y plus 3. Same thing on the other side here. 1 y minus 3 and 1 y plus 3. I'm going to visually compare them and multiply by what it's missing on the bottom. So back to my first one. It has the factor y minus 3. It was missing this one. So I go up here and I multiply by y plus 3. I distribute. And then answer up here would be y squared plus 3y for that part. Now you're going to look at the other one and see if that means anything. So this has the factor y minus 3. And it has the factor y plus 3. So is this one all set? Yes, you just copy the 18. Next thing you're going to do is push these together as one single fraction. So I have a fraction that says y minus 3 and y plus 3. And I'm going to just take this, combine it together. So I have y squared plus 3y minus 18. And then you need to ask yourself, does this continue further? So this is the trinomial that gets factored. I'm going to go a little bit further. So multiplies to negative 18 adds to 3. It's going to give me positive 6 and negative 3. And then it should be very obvious why you wanted to do that, because it will, in this case, allow your problem to simplify. So I have the y minus 3 and the y plus 3. So our last step is you're permitted to cancel those y minus 3s. And what's left over is your answer. So my final solution is y plus 6 divided by y plus 3. And are we allowed to ever cancel the y's? No, so you leave it like that. So that. How are the common denominators getting better? Okay, so here's one more like that. So number 7 is addition instead. Doesn't matter, procedures is the same. So you're going to need a common denominator. How do you find it? You factor. So common denominator, you're going to take that bottom and you're going to factor it. Multiplies to negative 16 adds to 6 is y plus 8 and y minus 2. I'm going to do this again around that one. And when you go to write your common denominator, you are going to take one of each factor. So my common denominator is a y plus 8 and a y minus 2. That's all you need. Y plus 8, y minus 2. You're going to multiply by what you're missing if necessary. So I compare these. It has that one. It has that one. So the 20 doesn't get multiplied by anything. That one's set. The next one has y plus 8. But what one does it need? Y minus 2. And then you're going to distribute this. So I am left with a 2y minus 4. Okay, so almost done. Combine them together now. So I have a 20 plus 2y minus 4 all over my common denominator of y plus 8y minus 2. So this is equivalent to 2y plus 16 divided by y plus 8 and y minus 2. Is there anything else we can do at the top? GCF, very good. I'm going to take this another step and factor it, because again, then you can cancel. So I have a 2, y plus 8 divided by y plus 8 and y minus 2. So my last and final step is I'm permitted to cancel those factors, and then I just write what's left over. So this final answer is 2 divided by the y minus 2. And again, you are not permitted to cancel those 2's because you can't break up that binomial. So final answer right here. Okay, so there were 2 common denominator types. You just have one more word problem on the back if I'm not mistaken. You feel good on those? Give us one on the back. Yes, just one. So this is just like the concept we reviewed yesterday. So suppose one painter can paint an entire house in 10 hours. So how do I express that as a rate? Perfect. 1 over 10. You can do it above, you can do it down here, whatever works for you. And I see that they're going to paint together. So that means I'm going to add them again, equal to something. A second painter is going to take 8 hours. So she's going to paint one house over the course of 8 hours. So one house over the course of 8 hours. How long is it going to take the 2 painters if they work together? So that would be 1 over x. And all you have to do is find a common denominator. So we're looking for ideally the smallest number that 10 and 8 both go into. So 8 doesn't go into 10, 8 doesn't go into 20 or 30. How about 40? Yes, I'm going to do a common denominator of 40x. 40x. And then common denominator 40x. And common denominator 40x. Okay, so you want to figure out how do you get there. So I need to go from a 10 to a 40. So I multiply by 4. And I'm missing the x. So 1 times 4x is 4x. 8 times 5 gives me 40. And I need that x as well. So 5x. And then lastly, it has the x, it needs the 40. This is just 40. And to finish, you're going to drop the denominator, solve the numerator. So I solve 4x plus 5x equals 40. And if someone has a calculator, we can get this to the nearest 10th. That's fine. So 9x is equal to 40. And then dividing by 9. Divide by 9. X is equal to a little bit more than 4. What did you guys get? 4.4, thank you. So this is 4.4, was it hours? Yes. So 4.4 hours if they work together. Essentially, it should speed up your process a little bit. Okay. I'm hoping after going through those that everyone feels good and confident. So what you can do with your remaining 10 or so minutes today is you have your Delta Math review assignment to complete. If there's any of those questions that you want reset because you want to reattempt them, or if you want extra of anything, in this packet, we skipped a ton of questions, so you're welcome to go back and do those. Remember, right on your Google Doc, these are the topics that you're going to see. You only have, I think it's 9 or 10 questions tomorrow because these obviously take a considerable amount of time. So make sure you can do a common denominator. We just did a bunch of them. 3 variable system, the word problem we just did, solve by factoring, we did a bunch. Parabola, focus, directrix, you just did on a recent quiz. Quadratic formula, synthetic, and factoring, we did all those today as well. So if you stick with just those concepts, then you'll be in excellent shape. Yep, question? No, it's on paper. Yep, on paper. Good question. Anything else, guys? Okay, again, just make sure you get those Delta Math reviews completed. As long as you complete them, that's 10 points for doing your homework. And then again, if you need anything reset, on my end, please let me know. Don't hesitate to ask.